My fiancé saw me walk up the front doors of his work, and his heart dropped. I just knew today would be a good day. Normally, I avoid stopping by his restaurant after work because traffic is usually a nightmare, and I'm already exhausted. But today was different. I had a tough day at work, and his place has the best food and drinks. Plus, it's usually quiet on Mondays. With the rain easing traffic, I got off work early. I picked up his son from school, and as we drove, anticipation bubbled in my stomach. When we arrived, we stepped out hand in hand, walking toward the glass doors, waiting for him to notice us. And when he did, it was like time stopped. He shut his eyes, threw his head back, and clutched his chest, nearly in tears. I let go of our son's hand, watching him run to his father, arms wide open and beaming with joy. They held each other tightly. As I approached, my soon-to-be husband discreetly pulled us close, giving me a proper embrace. His grip was firm, and when he finally pulled away, he looked into my eyes, filled with a mix of sadness and anxiety. "How did you know? How did you know I needed you today?" he asked. I simply replied, "I don't know, but maybe because I needed you too." The love and relief in his eyes reassured me that he is wholeheartedly committed to us and our future. I couldn't feel more blessed.
Tough for calling my mom when my husband refused to listen to me? I recently moved into my first home, and I'm 4 months pregnant with our first baby. The pregnancy has been incredibly tough. I've been dealing with severe morning sickness, and it got so bad that I passed out and hit my head, leading to a week-long hospital stay. When I got home, my husband allowed his brother's family to move into 2 of our 3 bedrooms. I didn't know why they were evicted, but it felt like my space was taken over. My office was a mess, papers everywhere, and the house was in complete disarray. Trash, dirty clothes, used diapers. It was overwhelming. I started to cry. It felt like my husband was no longer the person I married. When I expressed my frustration, he dismissed my feelings, saying it wasn't that bad. Exhausted, I fell asleep for 4 hours. When I woke up, I couldn't even find a clean glass to drink from. They hadn't cleaned anything. The next morning, I struggled to work while their kids cried and banged on the walls. Their mom was in her room, ignoring them. When my husband came home, he was upset with me for not making his brother's wife feel welcome. He complained about how nothing was done while he was at work, as if he hadn't contributed to the mess. That led to a fight where I told him I was too sick to have company and that they needed to leave. He refused, saying they were his family. I was beyond frustrated and exhausted. I called my mom, asking if I could come stay with her, sharing the whole story in front of my husband. He was shocked and angry, unsure of how to respond. My mom arrived with my brothers and she took charge. I was sent to bed while they started cleaning, voicing their frustrations about how my brother-in-law's family was living. I received a text from my mother-in-law calling me out for not helping my husband clean and putting my brother-in-law in an uncomfortable position. When my mother-in-law showed up, she was furious at first, but once she saw the state of the house, she quickly joined my mom in organizing everything. My brother-in-law and his kids ended up staying with my mother-in-law, who didn't know about their eviction. After everything settled, I had a long talk with my husband. He seemed genuinely remorseful. He explained that his brother was only supposed to stay for a couple of nights and thought they would be gone before I got home. He admitted he had been overwhelmed with his own emotions and had unfairly dumped his frustrations on me. He begged for another chance. For now, we're separated. He's staying at my brother's place, and we plan to go to marriage counseling and individual therapy. He asked if he could join me for my doctor's appointments and when the home health nurse comes. I agreed. As for my brother-in-law, his wife admitted to having an affair and expressed that she no longer wants the responsibilities of being a mom. I'm shocked by her feelings, especially considering her kids. It's been a whirlwind, but I'm grateful for the support of my family during this difficult time.
Update, my boyfriend of 7 years cheated on me. I'm going to disappear from his life. Is there anything I'm missing? This is an update on my situation, and I want to share what I've done to cut contact. I logged myself out of our Apple TV and Xbox. I canceled the Wi-Fi I paid for and returned the modem. I removed my payment information for utilities from our account. I packed up my sauces, spices, and cooking oils, leaving behind just the dried rosemary he dislikes. I printed out a screenshot of his Tinder profile and framed it, adding a piece of dog waste for good measure. I'll keep the photo albums. He can have this. I recorded a video of the apartment after packing my things. I left my keys in the mailbox for the leasing office and emailed them about my departure, including the video of the apartment's condition. I updated my address with USPS, the vet, the hospital, school, work, and even my dog's microchip. I talked to HR to remove him from my health insurance and change my life insurance beneficiary to my parents. I'm also going to the bank to take myself off the joint account. Thankfully, I'm not worried about my credit since our finances have always been separate. I logged out of all streaming services, social media, and email accounts. I blocked him everywhere and made a doctor's appointment for an STD test. I'm heading to the county office to terminate our domestic partnership. It's been a whirlwind 18 hours, but my friends have been incredibly supportive. I haven't been able to sleep either. When he arrived, I had already blocked him. I received several texts and calls from his family, which I ignored until I saw his sister calling. At first, the conversation was tense. She accused me of being a crazy ex-girlfriend who couldn't let go. Yet, I had just packed up and left. She mentioned it had been 4 months and that I needed to move on. I reminded her that just a month ago, we celebrated our 7th anniversary and started planning our wedding. I had no idea he wanted to break up. After some back and forth, she listened to my side. I explained that he had been distant this year, blaming it on wanting to spend time with their grandparents before they passed. But it turns out they had been gone for 2 years. I never met them because he claimed they were racist. We ended the call on a somewhat positive note. She admitted she felt bad since the girl he cheated on me with was one of her friends. She had introduced them last year when he was unhappy. He was supposed to break it off with me, but never had the courage. Later that night, I received an email from him. He asked me to come to the apartment to talk, but didn't apologize for anything. He ended the email with, "I love you." As far as I know, he doesn't know where I am or where my friend lives. It's been therapeutic to write everything down. Your support has empowered me to leave. There were moments when I wanted to stop packing, hoping everything would return to normal when he got home. But your encouragement has helped me realize that staying wouldn't lead to anything good. Thank you all for being there for me.
I'm in love with my gym bro. I never expected to find myself in this situation. I'm 22 and I thought I was straight until I met him, my gym buddy, who's 24. A few months ago, I noticed him at the gym and something about him made me nervous. But I pushed through that feeling and struck up a conversation. To my surprise, he was really nice and funny and we quickly became friends. Then, 2 weeks later, my girlfriend broke up with me. I confided in him, and during a heart-to-heart, he casually came out as gay. That initial nervousness I felt around him didn't fade. Instead, it transformed into something deeper. I started to realize that the way I looked at him was similar to how I'd look at a beautiful girl. As the months went by, it became increasingly difficult to be near him because he's just so gorgeous. At night, I'd imagine him snuggled up next to me. I found myself wanting to text him constantly and wishing I could kiss him. I guess this is me coming out as bi. I met this amazing guy at the gym, and I love his personality. He makes me laugh, and honestly, he's quite attractive. I wanted to ask him out so badly. Then, one day at the gym, I finally gathered the courage. After our sets, I walked him to his car and told him how I felt. I was shaking with nerves, but I managed to say it. He smiled at me, looking a bit flustered, and said he kind of thought I was into him because he noticed me looking at him a lot. When I told him I was bi, he smiled even wider, and we agreed to go on a date that Friday. I couldn't believe it. I was so overwhelmed with joy. I love him so much, and I couldn't have done this without the support I received. I took a little break from social media because the attention was a lot to handle. Some people were unkind, calling me names for sharing my feelings, and I felt embarrassed. But despite that, my relationship with him has been better than I could have ever hoped for. He makes me feel appreciated in a way I've never experienced before. So while I might step back from Reddit, I'll keep sharing updates on Twitter. Just know that things are going really well, and I'm grateful for all the support. Update to nightmare situation. Me, 35F, with partner, 40 male, my son and his nephew, 15 male. Hi again, everyone. I posted about my family problem about a month ago and was overwhelmed by the kind and supportive comments I received. Someone requested an update, so here I am sharing what's happened since. Honestly, I also need to unburden myself. The boys are sweet, but I can't talk to them about this. And I don't have many people in my life I feel comfortable sharing these details with. I suppose I'm a bit embarrassed. The week after my original post, I met with a family lawyer to explore my options. I had written down the legal suggestions from here to discuss with her. Unfortunately, while some options were technically feasible, they would either take too long or require things from Bob or Ben that just weren't ideal. After our meeting, I took a long, hard look at our finances, hoping to find a compromise. I even considered sending Ben to a good boarding school and paying the tuition up front. That way, if I left Bob, it would be easier for him to leave Ben there, rather than moving him to a different school. While going through our financial records, I discovered that Bob had been cheating on me for the entirety of our relationship. Before Ben's parents passed away, Bob was about to move in with another woman. She didn't want kids, so when he suddenly had to take custody of Ben, she made it clear she wouldn't be involved. I can't blame her. Asking someone who never wanted kids to parent a bereaved child isn't fair. When I confronted Bob about the affair, he didn't deny it. He seemed ashamed and just asked what would happen next. I told him he needed to get his things and leave, but first, he should ask Ben if he wanted to go or stay. I didn't want to disrupt Ben's life any further. Ben quickly said he wanted to stay, and Bob seemed relieved. He moved out that weekend, and I haven't seen him since. We've been in touch by text to discuss financial arrangements, and last week he sent me money for Ben's basic expenses. It wasn't as much as child support, but I'm grateful for it. From his attitude, I sense he sees this as a long-term situation. According to the lawyer, even if he doesn't, leaving Ben with me for now, combined with Ben's age, would make it easier to build a case for him to stay. The lawyer is confident we could win such a battle, or at least drag it out until Ben turns 18. That brings me relief, but it's still hard to admit how much finding out about Bob has affected me. Even though I wanted him out, I once believed we could build a life together. Our relationship wasn't perfect, but it was the best I'd had since before my son was born. I thought we cared for each other, but now I realize all he wanted from me was a mother for Ben. In hindsight, it makes sense why he never wanted to marry or invest in my house. He wanted to make it easy to leave once Ben was old enough. I think it might explain why he was so hard on Ben, searching for reasons to send him away. I never expected that from him, and it's painful to come to terms with. I apologize for being mopey. I am grateful for how things turned out. It's the best solution for everyone, and I couldn't have achieved it without Bob's help. The boys have been wonderful, treating me gently and pretending they aren't thrilled Bob is gone when I'm around. I appreciate that. I'm so glad he's gone and that Ben is safe here with us. I just need a little time to fully process everything. In short, it turns out Bob has been cheating on me for likely the entire duration of our relationship. He has moved out, leaving Ben with me. I caught my fiancé hooking up with my sister while I'm pregnant, and tomorrow I'm exposing everything at our family gathering. I have reached the edge of what I can bear. I'm 28 and have been with my fiancé for just over 3 years. We live together with my 4-year-old daughter from a previous relationship. 3 weeks ago, I found out I'm pregnant again. At first, I was overjoyed, naive enough to think we were finally creating the stable family I had always wanted. But then he grew distant. He ignored my excitement, started coming home late, and kept his phone glued to him. I began noticing strange calls and those discreet social media notifications that vanished too quickly. My gut told me to investigate. I almost wish I hadn't. He has been secretly hooking up with my older sister behind my back. She was the one I always tolerated, even though she drags drama wherever she goes. She would hug me around relatives, pretending to be the supportive sister, then turn around and badmouth me to her friends. I never imagined she would crawl into my life this deeply. It felt like a slap in the face to read their messages, calling me clueless for not noticing. He told her about the pregnancy before he was honest with me about his doubts, and they joked about how stressed I would be raising another child. My sister bragged that our entire family thinks she is the more interesting sibling, while I am just the quiet one who apparently deserves this. I don't know if they are still meeting in secret or if they just enjoy hurting me. My fiancé denies everything whenever I confront him, saying I'm hormonal and that my imagination is running wild. My sister keeps messaging me, telling me to keep my mouth shut and stop being dramatic. I am done hiding my anger. My mother wants me to talk it out calmly. But how do I fix something so broken I can barely breathe? My fiancé thinks I will just accept this. He is counting on me being too shy or too pregnant to do anything. Tomorrow, I plan to blow this up in front of the entire family. We are supposed to have a casual get-together at our parents' house, ironically, to celebrate my pregnancy announcement. I will gather my phone logs, the screenshots, and all those humiliating texts they sent each other. Once all the relatives have settled in, I will put everything on display, no more secrets. I might burn everything in the process. I might lose any chance of a pleasant co-parenting scenario. But I feel like I have no other way to reclaim my dignity. I have been crying nonstop for days. My nerves are shot, and all I get from my fiancé is either silent treatment or insults. My sister taunts me and acts like I am worthless. I see no reason to protect them anymore. I do not know what happens next. Maybe they will run off together. Maybe they will lie or twist things around to make me look insane. My fiancé has not contributed much financially, so I worry about affording my daughter and this potential new baby on my own. Yet I cannot pretend everything is normal. I have to protect whatever self-respect I have left. I am going to set my entire world on fire tomorrow. Part of me feels terrified. The other part is numb. Regardless, I am done letting them tiptoe around my heart. If they want my silence, they should have kept their betrayal better hidden. Let everyone see exactly who they are. That is all I have left. Are you ITA for not going to my twin's wedding? I'm a 24-year-old man with an identical twin. Although we're not particularly close, I always thought we had a basic level of mutual respect. That belief was put to the test recently. I grew up in a traditional southern town and began coming out during college about 5 years ago. It's been a slow journey, especially with my family. Since moving to Washington, D.C. in 2023 for school and work, I felt more comfortable living authentically. In that time, I met my boyfriend, who is 26, and we've been together for 2 years. I've introduced him to friends and family when I felt safe doing so. Fast forward to November 2024. I was home for the holidays and shared with my twin and his fiancé that I was bringing my boyfriend to their wedding. They seemed happy for me. While staying with them, wedding details came up, and they asked if I'd be bringing a date. I said yes, my boyfriend. My twin had gone to bed, but his fiancé said, while there are pros and cons, it's up to you if you want to bring him. That felt like a green light. My twin often deferred to her on decisions, so I didn't think I needed to double-check. 5 months passed, and my boyfriend and I had spent $1,300 on travel expenses. 3 weeks before the wedding, I mentioned to my brother that we were all set. His tone shifted suddenly. "Oh, is your boyfriend actually coming?" I reminded him of our earlier conversation. He insisted that his fiancé never gave me permission and accused me of making it up. Then he said, "We can't allow your boyfriend to come. We worry about how Dad's side will react." I offered to call Dad right then, but he dodged the issue, saying he'd check with his fiancé. An hour later, there was no change. I was still invited, alone, and still expected to buy a matching suit, even though I wasn't in the wedding party. That's when I snapped. I asked him, if I didn't invite your fiancé to my wedding, would you still come? He couldn't answer and ended the call after some harsh words. Trying to make things right, I came out to my dad, which I had feared for years, to explain the situation. Surprisingly, he was indifferent and even said uninviting my boyfriend was extreme. He offered to talk to the extended family, and I thought I was removing the main obstacle. Weeks later, my twin called again. He now claimed our friends would be weirded out. I told him, if my boyfriend isn't invited, I'm not coming. He wouldn't budge. Here's the kicker. Days later, my dad told me that the fiancée admitted she had given me permission but changed her mind when she remembered who would be there. She denied this to my twin. Ironically, one of her bridesmaids is openly gay and brought her girlfriend, but according to the fiancé, she's not part of the family, so it's different. So, I didn't go. My absence was definitely noticed. I received texts asking where I was, and my mom had to explain it repeatedly. Instead of avoiding attention, my absence became the main topic of conversation. Now, my relationship with my twin feels shattered, and some family ties seem fragile. Part of me wonders if I should have just gone solo to preserve the bonds that shaped my early life. So, was I wrong for skipping the wedding?
I regret leaving my husband. How do I move forward? 3 years ago, I made the hardest decision of my life. I left my husband after 13 years of marriage, 18 years together in total. It felt like I had no choice. For many years, we had a wonderful relationship. He was my best friend, the only person I could truly relax with and be myself. We traveled a lot, built a lovely home, and shared our lives with our dogs. We enjoyed the same things, shared a sense of humor, and were compatible in day-to-day life. He was calm and always tried to make our life pleasant and happy. But when it came to the big issues, finances, household responsibilities, and communication, we were not on the same page. This became painfully clear after we bought our house. Before that, we lived in my condo, splitting expenses evenly. But once we sold it, I had to pay off some debt, and he took on the mortgage and property taxes. I ended up covering all the bills, buying everything for our home, and paying for renovations and our dog's needs. Even though we both earned good money, he made almost twice as much as I did. This imbalance led to resentment, but he wouldn't discuss it. No matter how hard I tried to talk about finances, he would shut down completely. The situation worsened when major repairs were needed. When our furnace broke and the roof needed replacing, he would just say he didn't know how to pay for it. I felt helpless, unable to fix the things that were falling apart. I'm someone who likes to stay on top of things, and I hated feeling overwhelmed. Every time I tried to address our home's upkeep, he would accuse me of having a bad attitude or being ungrateful. I know he meant well, but to me it felt like a personal attack. I just wanted to maintain our home and not let it slip away. Eventually, I felt like I was on a sinking ship. Every attempt to communicate ended in toxic arguments with no resolution. So I left. It was agonizing, but I couldn't see a way forward. I know I hurt him deeply. He believes I just decided I hated him and walked away. In the last years of our marriage, I admit, I was angry and resentful. I said hurtful things during our fights because I just wanted to be heard. I developed insomnia and health issues, even sleeping in the basement. He felt abandoned, and I understand why. I was focused on my health, but he never wanted to change our lifestyle or downsize to make things easier for us. For the first 2 years after leaving, my health was my top priority, so I delayed the divorce proceedings. When I finally retained a lawyer, he ignored all communication. I knew it would fall on me to handle everything. I tried to keep things amicable, but he refused to talk. He stayed in our home while I lived with my parents, and now I'm renting a small basement suite. I didn't receive any financial support from him, and I continued paying bills for a year after I left to ensure he was okay. He never made any moves to buy me out of the house, and I think he feels entitled to it all because I chose to leave. Recently, I've had time to reflect, and I see his perspective more clearly. I recognize the ways I failed him and our life together. I feel so much guilt for how my health issues affected our relationship. I miss my old life terribly. His company, the comfort of our home, our routines, and special holidays. I feel lost and without purpose. I don't want to start over or go through a divorce. I just want us to work it out. Even though our life together was unsustainable, it feels better than what I'm experiencing now. I've asked him if he wants a divorce, and he just says, I don't know. He backed out when I suggested counseling and avoids my calls and texts about the divorce. I'm stuck in this painful limbo, unable to live the life we co-created, but also unable to move forward. What can I do? I want to reach him and fix everything, but if I can't, how do I cope with this loss? How can I trust that I made the right decision, even though it's not what I wanted at all?